Ito yun eh.
97.
97. So, 16 years. 16 years. Your servant, gitarista na, set up pa, speaker pa, kaya pa mo yun. So, I present to you the Albert family.
Good evening. Before we start, allow me to introduce my family. So first, remember Claire, my dad. So I am Alex Albert, my wife Tata, our eldest Jane. Next one, Nikki, and our youngest Tim. So allow me to welcome you guys back. And congratulations, you've made it to more or less the halfway point of the CLP, actually beyond the halfway point, the 13 talks. This talk tonight is one of the few talks that separates the Couples for Christ Christian Life program from from the Singles for Christ program and from other renewal groups. Because tonight, because we are Couples for Christ, we really focus on the Christian family and us as couples, you guys as couples. Okay? The talk tonight will tell us the importance of becoming a good Christian married couple. Okay. So take a look at the family as an institution today. Not an institution, but this is our family. This is circa 2000. This is the millennium. My kids are very small. If you can find Tim, can you find Tim there? Tim, who is as tall as I am now, as tall. Okay, taller than I am now. I'm still carrying him back then. You know, the left side, upper left part. So, the family as an institution today, its very basis and stability is under attack. We hear so much about divorce, single-parent homes, unwanted children, couples who have a lot of difficulty in having children, and even most recently, same-sex marriage. All these are shaking the basis and the definition of family as it has been, as we have known it to be, as it has been meant to be. We want to face up to this attack. As Christian married couples, we have to face this. We want to make our families stronger. We want to be able to combat the negative suggestions of society. You know, society used to be, I remember growing up, you would hardly hear of anyone separated. In fact, when you hear somebody separated, it was said in whispers. I'm sure if you guys might have had the unfortunate enough having, let's say, an aunt or something that's separated, your parents would have been talking about it in hushed voices. Now, when you hear somebody's hiwalay, they just say, hiwalay na. Sa Facebook, ang hindi lang, dati in a relationship, ngayon, no longer in a relationship. Single na ulit, single again. It's complicated. Diba? That's what happens now. So, for us to be able to combat the proddings of society, these negative effects, we need to put on the mind of God and how He wanted us to really be. Follow God's plan of the Christian family. Now, what is God's plan for the family? So, we will go through this a bit systematically. We will not throw everything at you at once. We will throw everything at you a little bit at a time. Okay? So let's look at it a bit systematically. Right. The family. Growing up and in school and all this time, we've been taught that the family is the basic unit of society. That is not an accident. That is an intentional teaching that has been given to us from the very beginning. From Genesis 1:27 to 28, God created man in His own image. The image of God, He created him. Male and female, He created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over everything that moves on the earth." Furthermore, Genesis 2, even longer. Then God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper and that's suitable for him. Out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the sky, and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. And whatever the man called a living creature, that was its name. The man gave names to all the cattle and the birds of the sky and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a helper suitable for him. And so the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon man, and he slept. And then God took out one of his ribs and closed the flesh in that place. The Lord fashioned into woman from the rib he had taken of the man, and brought her to the man. Then the man said, "This now is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. It is for this reason that a man shall leave his father and his mother, and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." So it is clear from the first account of history that we have, Genesis, the family was the building block. That was the first one. God created man and woman to be a family. The second part in God's plan is that the family is to be a place of teaching and training children. Of teaching and training children. The family is a place to transmit wisdom and values of life. In our rehearsal, I told her when my picture comes out, I want her to talk. Kasi I don't want to be on talking, but okay. A place to transmit wisdom and values of life. Go ahead.
Hello. Sorry. Normally, where do we find that we have a knack for things? Sometimes it's biological, but sometimes it is taught. And in our family, the way that we try to teach our children is in the everyday. This is Nikki, and she takes after her father. She can take apart computers. She's 16, and put them together, which is why she was doing all the stuff while we were singing. We try to teach them the value of labor, which we so often take for granted, especially those of us that have lived in Manila or the Philippines all our lives with maids and drivers. Some of my friends will only realize the importance of labor once they leave the country. And this is where, unfortunately, I have not taught my children how to iron the clothes yet, but soon we will get there. Other than wisdom and the values of life, we also try our best to teach in an informal setting. It comes with everyday activities at home, and Timmy was graduating from the 7th grade last year and didn't know how to do a tie. Something so simple and mundane. But here I am, I love taking pictures, so all the pictures are of them. And we take a look at things at home. We try as much as possible to allow, with our closed eyes, allow them to make their own mistakes. If they need to fall, they need to fall. If they need to get burned a little because it's hot and they're told that it's not supposed to be touched, unfortunately, they must learn the lesson. And that is our manner of teaching at home. Experience. Simple. And that's our way, and it's not everyone's way. Each of you will have to make your own decisions on how you want to rear your children, in the values that you hold dear and see the place of Christ, of Jesus, of our Lord in your lives. It is because of this that they will learn to be the men and women we so want them to be in the future. The family is also a place for training leaders. One of the most difficult teachings that most of us strong women in the CLP need to learn is to be submissive. Right? Has that talk been given yet? Or am I giving a spoiler of the things to come? Well, I've been in business since college, and so it's here in couples where I let my man be the man. Okay. So this is the training for leaders. And leadership to us is not only leadership for us is not only, of course, in a formal setting. I don't necessarily want to see my children be the president of the student council or the debate club or whatever else is important to us. But in the little things, allowing them to have the confidence to speak up, allowing them to know what is wrong and right, and choosing the more difficult right sometimes. And this is what we try to do, again, in the everyday. Timmy, when he was younger, would really, really hate it when I tried to cut lines or cues. And because you know you're doing a good job when your own children tell you what you actually have been telling them. Mom, didn't you say it's wrong to do this or that? And then you know you're doing a good job. The family is also considered the domestic church. Now, where else will we learn how to pray before meals? Where else will we learn how to say a prayer so we're not afraid to go to sleep? To make sure that there's no monster under the bed. Where else will we learn not to be afraid of the dark? Simple things. These are things that we learn at home. And in the manner of teaching our faith, it is the manner by which we hope that they will be able to take with them when they are no longer with us. The church is supposed to be a community where you have the same beliefs. And at home, even if we don't all like one direction or whatever band the children are into, we find always that we are in the same belief when it comes to right and wrong. So this is the confirmation of the meaning. That's we are, as parents, and especially fathers, are called to be the priests of their family. Now I have a little side track here, story. Because, well, I met Alex when I was in third year high school. I was 14 going on 15. Buti na lang, 16 and 19 na to. So, we passed that already, that nightmare. And by the time, I think he was 17, he was thinking of becoming a Jesuit. And we weren't on yet. We were not together yet. We were just tawag dati? MU, yun. Now, kasi that's not a word anymore our children use it. Ha? Yes, pwede na? Okay, good. I'm still good. So, mutual understanding, right? So you're not, your mom told you not to have a boyfriend, therefore, he has not asked and you have not said yes. So technically, that's the definition. Technically. So, Alex is supposed to be a priest. And in his search to find the right path when he was in the Sacred Heart Novitiate, when he was in third year as well, his story is much nicer when it's told, but the short of it is, he felt that God was telling him his calling was to be a father at home, not to be a father in church. Buti na. Hindi wala kayo. The fathers of the family must lead the faith. They must present God to their family. It is His most important example which the family learns. Kasi everyone knows mom's a little nutty sometimes. So she can lose her temper, right? She can get mad at the maids. She can go crazy when she cannot find her phone. It's gonna be. But the father is the stable source of faith. And the father is also the one who leads his family to God. The father takes pains to make sure that we will go to Mass on Sundays. We know what the readings of the Mass are. We will continue to do the traditions as we have been taught. We will continue to say the novena. We will continue to go to Mass when it's obligated, and maybe not even when it's obligated. Those are the things that a father must lead. Because a mother, it's expected that she has a stronger faith. It's expected that she has a prayerful life. But when a father has a prayerful life, things really change in the family. And now I turn over to the man who wears pants in fact.
No, but sadly, when we look, God's plan for families today is not happening. We'll revisit some of the things that I said again later. We have to admit, God's plan for families is not happening. What's God's plan, right? That we are the unit of society, that the family is a place of learning, that the family is a place of teaching, of training leaders, and that the family is a church. This is not happening. Why not? Let us take a look at a few reasons. The first and saddest reason is God has lost that central place in the family. Parents are no longer bringing up their children in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. There are many families, maybe ours included in the earlier years, who God is only for Sunday Mass, that 1 hour. Everything else, we revolve our lives on something else. Some families center their lives on the weekend. Saan ayaw magpapaksyon. Some have centered their lives about striving for honors, study so that you get the grades. But many have forgotten that central place of God and the importance of having Him not only in that 1 hour on Saturday or Sunday. God has also lost the central place because more and more there are parents who look to psychology, not to the Bible, not to the teachings, not to morality, not to the example that Christ gave, but to psychology as a source of wisdom for raising the children. If the sad thing is, psychology and many other worldly things are precisely that, worldly things. In psychology, the kung ano yung uso has changed so many times. One time, there was a time that they said, it is bad to spank. And then they said, no, you have to discipline. And then they'll say, no, it has to be something else. I mean, things keep changing. They'll also say, different schools of thought will say, you have to allow your children to do this. Others will say, no, it's better to do it the other way. In fact, psychology has one example which is very against the way a Christian family is supposed to raise the children. It's the use of reverse psychology. I'd like to highlight this. Very often, kids tend to be headstrong. Do we all have kids already? Okay, some are planning, but kids tend to be headstrong. Kids will be headstrong. They will test your limits. And very often, the temptation is, growing up in high school, there's a play called Sinta. And one of the songs there is Sa Kabataan. And the lyric in the song goes, pagkat sa kabataan, kung gusto mo kumanan, na this is your right to say, kung gusto mong kumanan, sa kaliwa utusan. Reverse psychology. And yet, Christian teaching tells us, no, as early as they are young, we need to tell them what is the right thing to do. Do not give them an instruction and teach them to follow the opposite, because that will create children who will grow up to people upon seeing a sign that says strictly no counterflow, will floor it and take that lane. That is the straightest, best path to signs saying no jaywalking, and they climb the barrier at the middle. That is the path that we have taken, because it's so much easier to do that reverse psychology. Why? Because if I said go right and they follow, you'll say, ay, right decision. Even if you did want them to go left, right? But if you really wanted them to go left and they disobeyed, but they went the way you had really wanted, happy ka pa rin. So it made you, let's say, shortcut to making yourself happy in getting a result you want. Husbands and wives tend to not follow God's order for them. There's a stress on materialism early in life. This is, nowadays, in our family, the breadwinner now is really Tata. Tata has the main, she brings home the bacon. Okay? Early in our married life, we're both bringing home strips of bacon, and we were arguing on who gets the lead career. But later on, because of the breaks, we said, okay, she's working on that, and I was taking a back seat more. I was more like sort of a husband, but not really. Some say that that is not the way it's supposed to be. Christian said, no. The man is supposed to be the breadwinner. But being breadwinner is more than just bringing home the bigger picture. It is how the material gifts are handled. Also, husbands and wives, Tata mentioned, there's a teaching which you will hear a lot, is that wives be submissive to your husbands. But actually, the real teaching is which is easier to swallow, is wives be supportive of your husbands, not submissive. Because submissive, I think that's the old time of the Jews when talagang, it was a male-centric society. Now it's wives be supportive of your husbands. And my wife is that, supportive. I don't earn the big bucks. But when I say, I think this is the way we should go, she supports the decision. Of course, we have our discussions, but she's supportive. So, the materialism today is making it more difficult for us to focus on those other roles that God wanted us to do. Our focus is on bringing the money in, making sure our kids have that education, being able to pay for the nice private school, rather than focusing on the education, the teaching, the impartment of wisdom, the leadership training that we're supposed to do. Which in turn leads to the family losing its importance. The design of the family was for it to be a place of learning. And very often, we choose to send our children to good schools, sometimes to Catholic schools. Why? So that we don't have to do anything at all with regards to that. So that we do not have to have any involvement in their education and development. If our children have difficulty in school, let's get them a tutor. That is not the real design. Well, there's nothing wrong with getting a tutor. Once we start passing off responsibilities, we make ourselves irrelevant. And if we, as parents, become irrelevant by choosing to pass off certain roles, the family itself becomes irrelevant. through the years, responsibility have been taken up by so many other groups. Now, modern recreation even allows for even less interaction. I remember growing up, we used to, there weren't as many channels on TV, right? Growing up,
7.
you had channel 2,
7.
7, 9,
And
and 13,
And
and 4 also. But 4 was mostly news. Channel 9 was always ABC's Wide World of Sports and English. So there were only a few channels to watch, right? We did not have the internet. But, you have internet now. Oh. So there was little to keep us occupied at home. Therefore, it was part of the family's role, the parents' role, to make sure that there was something interesting to do growing up. Because, well now, guilty as charged, it's so much easier to, the kids would rather stay at home because they can entertain themselves there anyway. They have the internet. So, we have made ourselves dispensable. Before, they would need the parents to, Dad, Mom, come home. Dad, Mom, it's summer. What are we going to do? Because there was no other way for them to do anything unless the parents were around. But nowadays, even the parents decide to go abroad on their own, and the kids can take care of entertaining themselves, and that is making us as parents irrelevant. The pace of modern life is so fast that relationships are, with things coming fast and being with instant gratification being a norm nowadays, it is more difficult to focus on the value of investing time in a relationship. Have you heard of the marshmallow test?
Yes.
Before this marshmallow test, the test showed that children who were able to show some restraint, there's a bowl of marshmallows in front of them. An adult tells them, wait, don't get anything yet. So they leave the child in the room. And it turns out that children who were able to stop and wait for the adult to come back and say, go ahead and get some. Rather than the kids who would grab one by the adults around. Those kids were able to show restraint. Later on in life, were able to achieve more success. Now, because everything comes easy, the desire for things to be more instantaneous. When the internet started, it started with dial-up. Abutan niyo ba yung dial-up? Yeah. Which slowly went into broadband. And when I think about the speed at which I download now compared to how it was before, I was like, okay, kasi before kapag na-download ka, maliligo ka muna, kakain ka muna, tapos babalikan mo. Tapos, pag-yun natin yung telepono. No? Now, also, with the speed that they have at home, I can download the next episode in 15 minutes and the next show is there. So, all these things tell us that the family is under attack by evil forces. Now, you can say, sobra naman, evil ba? Is it evil? Is the internet evil? Is technology evil? Is development evil? It can be. It is more easily influenced by the evil one than the evil one, whichever is easy for us to get. Yun yung gusto niyang paglaruan. That's it. Example. Sige. Kids, cover your ears. The internet number one use of the internet is, Ricky, what's the number one use of the internet?
Research.
No. That's not the same. Research. Before, during dial-up, when you would research, it would come out line by line. So you have, now when you look at your research, 10 pictures come out at the same time. Even when you don't want the 10 pictures to come out, they come out. Diba? Di ba naman in-open yung site na yun, lumalabas Yeah, even if you don't want the sight to come out, it comes out. So when your husband says that it's true, sometimes it's true. Okay. And that is the evil that goes into technology. No, it's true. The pornography on the internet is not always something that the research on the internet is not something that is always deliberate. But sometimes it just pops out there on the side. And you know, if you're doing deliberate doing work, and something pops out the side, you say, what is that? Adult friend finder. Ay, alam niya. I mean, and that is where that's why evil comes in. So what can we do? What can we do to combat this evil? The first thing we can do is to make that decision in your family that you want God's plan to happen. I mean, acknowledge things are not ideal. And how can we make it ideal? Step one is to say, God, yes, I want something to change in the family. I want your plan, which is the harmonious, peaceful family, to take place. Make that decision. Take time and give attention to building tasks. This picture is, Tata working a lot this year trip to Atlanta 2 years ago. We were apart, but last year now. And this is a FaceTime picture. She's in Atlanta. Her picture there, and we're all huddled over the iPhone, I think it's the iPad, just to be able to, take time, give time, and take the time to give the attention to forging those bonds. It's so much easier to say na, ay, there's time difference eh. We're sleepy. Huwag na lang. Make the effort. Next. There. Praying together as a family. Sorry, I'm here. Yes, we're showing off our watches, but that's a different. But, nag-shopping kasi kami. Cheap lang naman yan. So, it's, you've heard it, the family that prays together, stays together. It's, we will testify to that. Make time. If there is anything worthwhile you can do as a family, prayer is definitely worthwhile. It is, may not be as entertaining as watching a movie initially, but in the long run, it is definitely more worthwhile. It's me again. Fathers, sige. Sige, let her say that. But fathers should take, here now, to reiterate, you already said it, bakit you're saying the wives always say, susunod lang ng utos. No, but fathers should take steps to assume full responsibility. Okay? Not only for material, but also spiritual needs. Here in the Philippines, the spiritual development of the children has always been a mother's role. I mean, let's ask here. How many of you were taught to pray by your moms? Okay, how many is the dad that taught you? Okay. Much less. How much the yaya? Pero female figure pa rin. But here, tonight we are stressing. I let Tata do it first. But just so it doesn't sound like it's a woman nagging, but it is the importance of the father's role. Why do we have to remind the fathers that it is your role? Because usually the mothers will do it even if they're not reminded. Here in Couples for Christ, a lot of, if you notice, most of the talks were the men giving the talks. Sa pilitan yun. Kasi if we actually ask the women, if we ask for volunteers, the women will readily volunteer. They are readily able to express and share their faith. But for men, for a man to say, I believe, and to share his faith, it takes more effort. And so we're saying, but that effort is something worthwhile. And so we are training the men. Men, we need to do something. we need also to learn more about God's vision for our family. Not all families, the plan is the same. There are families that you will have one child, many children. Some of your children may become priests. I mean, there are various plans, various challenges that God will have in store for you. But by spending time with God in prayer as a family, we will learn to discern what it is that is God's plan. I'm waving to my friends at the back. See? The fourth thing that we can do is seek other Christian couples who share our concern. And that's our Couples for Christ comes in. When we joined Couples for Christ 16 years ago, it was really that we needed to find friends or people with like minds. We got married young. I was one of the first to get married in the batch. And when we were having difficulties, I talked to my friends, how are things? And I'd say, medyo magulo kami ngayon. And the answer, because they're all single, was, ikaw kasi, aga-aga mo nag-asawa eh. Kalimutan mo na yan, tara labas na lang tayo. But if we have proper friends, see this guy with the number 2 on his shirt here? He's wearing yellow there in the back. So he used to tell me also that. No, that's the example. In our first household, this is our first household group, that was it. We were bonded together, and my first household head was here. There. Ginny's there in the back. Willie was here kanina. And how they allowed us to grow in the community, to be able to feel, yeah, the development when there are people who understand, who will allow you to express your faith. Kasi in society now, at work, it is a challenge to admit that you have faith. I remember I was working at NCR, and it was difficult. I had a boss who was separated, and she would call meetings that would start at 6:30 in the evening. And we'd have household meetings. So I was like, if I'd say, I need to leave